This podcast may contain offensive content. You have been warned. Welcome to the Diecast podcast, Season 7 Roundtable. We are finishing it all up tonight. Steph, Miles, Adam, and myself, we talk about our feelings, we talk about our thoughts, and we just go over how we enjoyed it. Our loves, our hates, our inconveniences. So sit back, relax, we'll talk about Season 7 and everything that it was. And of course, a big thank you to the Storytelling Collective, who've been our sponsors all the way through this season. It was wonderful to have your support. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for everything that you do and everything that you've done for us. If you have not heard of them yet, they're an amazing collective of people helping everyone learn how to write a TTRPG adventure, or just the basics of marketing, or just overcoming any type of writing blocks. They're currently doing their Flash Fiction February. If you need more information about it, check out their Twitter, follow them on Storytelling Cole, C-O-L at the end. They'll have all the information there, or on their own website at www.storytellingcollective.com. Check them out. Of course, the expanded rule set for D&D has also come out. It's got Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, Xanathar's Guide to Everything, and Mordekainen's Monsters of the Multiverse. It expands the necessary 3 to the necessary 5, in my opinion, because they are essential rules to have for your D&D games. They are so useful. Got extra spells, extra subraces. I think it is an essential thing to have either in book form or electronic form. Check them out. Pick them up. Now, before we finally get into the roundtable, you can find us on Twitter at Diecast Podcast. Give us a follow. It'll be huge. If you need to stay up to date on all the news, all the latest episodes, Tales from Troll Skull is coming down the pipe. We will have all the information for you there. You can find us on any app that plays a podcast. That's your Stitcher, that's your Spotify, that's your iTunes, Google Plays, anything. And if you really want to help us out, it's massive if you leave a rating and review. It does so much work for us and helps share us with other people who may be interested in D&D podcast. If you want to share us around, leave a rating and review. It will help so much. Of course, on our own website at www.flyinglizardstudio.com, and on our own Discord and our YouTube channel. The links for that will be in the post for this episode. I think that is it. Tales from Troll Skull is coming up real soon. So for the last time this season, wear a mask, get vaccinated, get boosted. Tell a loved one how you feel. We will see you shortly. Stay posted to Twitter and the Discord. We will have all types of announcements ready for you. I think that is it. Enjoy the roundtable. It was a lot of fun to record, and it was just great to see everyone face to face again. I will see you all soon. I love ya. Have a good one. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Diecast podcast. Roundtable of Season 7, the Shadow Menace. We have someone next door doing sanding, so we'll see how well room sound gets rid of that. But if you hear what sounds like someone trying to bore a hole through our wall, it's our neighbors renovating. So hooray for home studios. Here we are. We have Adam, Steph, and Miles to talk about the conclusion, the adventure, the Season 7 that was a forest and a dungeon and a mini boss fight. So I think I'll just go around the table. We'll start with Adam, because you had your new character of Uther, who is one of those characters where when you listen to it again on the edit, like you just have to stop and laugh, because your punchlines with Uther were very strong and very just like out of left field, like bam, like oh damn, that was good. But what did you like about Season 7? How did you find Season 7?
I want to go back to mini boss fight. Did we again not kill the real Manchun this time?
Well, we didn't last, like, the fight didn't go on for very long.
Yeah, that's true. It was short.
Yeah, so it was like a mini fight, not that it was a mini boss.
Yeah, mini in duration. Like it was maybe like 3 rounds. Like
Yeah, it happened in less than 10 seconds.
Threw the gem at him.
really messed him up.
Okay. I'm up to speed on what we did. I thought Uther was pretty interesting. I felt like our previous adventures was sort of more world building, and there was kind of more different situations that you could find yourself in. I don't know. I didn't like him as much as Yosef. I miss being Yosef.
It's like, what if I created a new character, but he was still in a cult?
Yeah. I wanted him to be like a bit more officious and trying to like follow the rules of the cult and be like a very different character than Yosef in that way. But I couldn't really break out of that mold where he was just like, I didn't want him to say no to everything, but like he didn't really have a better plan. I don't know. I thought it was okay. I like doing the voice.
Yeah. I did notice actually in the episode that just went up today, which is episode 3, where you met Brew the Slime Witch, is that Uther was the person who was being assertive and like being like, I'll do this, or you need someone to do this thing, I'm going to do it, and then just jumping right to the forefront of it all.
I think it was easier to be Yosef because it was always okay to lose track of what was happening and then just like demand that another character like catch him up and then like not care about anything he heard. Like that was a good mode for me.
You are like what I've like aspired to do, because like, I mean, Amalika was like my first character, but then so I kind of feel like I was like kind of constricted and not understanding how D&D worked. So I was just like, oh, I want to like follow these kind of like rules and stuff. But like you were just like, I'm going to do this. Like, this is what my character would do. And I wanted to do that so badly with Una. And I feel like my barbarian like took this swing because like in that one of the episodes, they were like, let's go kill a tiger. And I was like, I don't want to kill a tiger. And it's like... But like
Una might want to though.
Yeah, maybe. But I was like, oh, but like I don't want to live through this. Like, am I gonna have to be the responsible barbarian? But like you, as your characters, are like what I aspire to do and kind of like commit to the bit. And I haven't gotten there yet.
He definitely wanted to kill a tiger. I like the side bit where he was like 28 and he felt like he was too old.
Yeah.
Because I was reading the things about Goliaths and it was like they just fight dragons and stuff in the mountains all the time. So no one knows how long they can live because they usually just die because they're living this sort of like brutal life.
Oh, that like makes it a bit sadder because like if you're thinking he's like old now, he's like lost all the memories of his parents. It's like he has dementia. Like,
well, I wanted him to go in more like of a direction where he was like learning about Waterdeep and he would do a sort of like life is an adventure type of thing. And we got a little of that.
Yeah.
I think a thing that you add in a D&D campaign, because I played a few with you, is that when myself or maybe another party member start like having like a long sidebar on what should we possibly do, your characters just find a way to cut through it and be like, I'm doing this now. Enough talking. More doing.
Yeah. That's how like we wound up with like the longest day in the last season, the season before.
Season 5. Yeah.
Oh my God, that was crazy.
Okay. It's like 12 sessions of one day.
Yeah.
Side quests.
So good. All right, let's turn the spotlight to you, Steph. How did you feel, or what did you enjoy? What were your thoughts and opinions of the Shadow Menace?
Oh, I mean, I got so many more spells that I mostly didn't use, and so many more cool things that I also didn't really use all that much. But again, like I kind of just feel like playing as Amalika has helped me to better understand D&D and get a better grasp of the world and the storytelling. And I think there's like a huge shift in where I started versus like now and how comfortable I am. Like I feel a lot more comfortable jumping into like things and like just kind of like rolling and then being like, oh wait, is that what I'm supposed to do? As opposed to like, tell me what's next. So I don't know, like for me in kind of just playing more D&D, it's become so much more fun to let go and get into the characters and to play because I'm not as wrapped up in like the mechanics of everything now that I have a better grasp. So it's been really fun to kind of play as Amalika and explore her getting more and more powerful without that kind of anxiety, I guess. So I still think there's like a little bit of that there when I get into kind of my head a little too much and I don't want to like try out new spells and new things, but I really do want to kind of expand on that and play around. And I think I'm like broken from our longest day because I'm like, oh, I don't want to use magic because I know I'm going to need a long rest. And if I use all this in this episode and like we have 15 more episodes on the same day, who knows when I'll be able to use this magic again. But then logically, like Adam, like I just want to be able to like be in the moment and totally just be like, yeah, fuck yeah, like we're gonna just do this spell and like pew pew pew, Eldritch Blast. So I think I'm getting there, but this has definitely been, I think, the season that I've felt most comfortable playing Amalika and kind of just exploring her character and all that.
I thought we saw like a lot of empathy from Amalika this time around that really changed a lot of the situations and sort of the tone of what we were doing. Like so many like encounters that could have gone adversarial, like when you sort of built that alliance with those ghost librarians, had like kind of stabilized and went in a different, like more interesting way than us just fighting everything we met. So I thought that was a really cool quality to have in this campaign.
Thanks. Yeah, I think like she's working through her traumas and starting to be less angry about stuff, you know? Can talk her way out of things. Which again also comes from a fear of using up all my magical powers.
It is. You now have so many magical powers, though.
Do I know?
You have so so many.
I know. I've got that wand and all
You got
the
a million
things.
wands.
You get that staff of power now.
Like
Yeah.
like 13 spell slots minimum.
And you can just spend sorcery points to get
I
more.
would like for the crowd to know that I spent a good chunk of this season on the wrong level by like several levels. Like what are we on now? Like
10 or so.
Sorry, I actually forgot to tell you after the last episode. After finishing the last episode, you're now level 11. So
gosh.
see, this is great that we're bringing this up now.
11. You have now many months to level up.
I think I was on like 8. Like I was like so far behind, and like Miles being like, "How do you only have that few hit points?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" Like, I'm on this level. And he was like, "No, you're not." Oh my gosh. So I spent a good chunk of this season and probably last season, now that I think about it, on entirely wrong levels.
It does explain why you got popped by that boulder.
That boulder still would have hurt immensely, even with the HP boost, but it definitely wouldn't have KO'd me.
I will say this about Amalika is that as a designer and planning out the dungeons is that I now have what I've called like this Amalika clause in the back of my head where like I had a fight plan for the ghosts. I had a fight plan for the memory of the faded memory of the Lich. And I was like, all right, so here's all the powers you can do. Here's like the layer actions and here's all the crazy things they can do in this room. Now, what happens if they talk themselves?
I mean, you did manage to like, I will say politely bully us into Jasper.
Yeah, you made us
And
fight
the
a couple of
Golem
things.
too. But
Would I
Yeah.
say bullying or just dangling a very enticing carrot?
Did we fight? No,
Yeah.
didn't we just seem like
we
too
didn't
pathetic?
fight
And we
him.
were like, oh, we should maybe just talk to
No,
this
but
sad,
he
sad
was-
cow man.
well, we didn't know he was sad because originally we thought he was scary.
We didn't think he was
Because he
scary
was
for a
like
while.
being real menacing in like the wherever we were, that hallway, and I definitely thought he was going to attack us and murder us.
Yeah, try to sneak past him, if
but-
I recall.
But John was just like, "But what if?"
But what if he
What if?
was very hungry?
Oh my gosh! But yeah, I mean, I do kind of like poking and prodding at kind of what else we could do besides just kind of generally smashing and bashing things, which I think is actually like kind of a thing I enjoy. Like when I write too, it's like, how else can people deal with this? And again, like Una was supposed to be my, no, we're just gonna smash everything. And me bled through there a lot. But yeah.
I would say Una is vastly different from Amalika though.
Yeah. I think there's like, I definitely anticipated, I wanted to play Una like very differently, very impulsive. And then again, I just like have trouble letting go. Like I'm going to again take lessons from Adam. I'm like, teach me not to care about the characters. Like teach me to just roll with it.
They're
But
super fictional.
I know, but I'm attached.
I know. It's tough.
Plus,
So-
it's a good chance to be like rude, and it's okay.
That is true. Yeah. Oh, I like that. But anyways, yeah, it's been fun to kind of play around with that and kind of see what else we get from those things. And we got that like cool gem thing that
Mhm.
totally destroyed Manchun number whatever.
You don't know.
665.
And now let's shift over to Miles, who had a lot of family development that's been slow simmering under the surface for quite some time.
You get the family therapy.
Yeah. This was the season of Waywalk. John gave me a heads up that there would be a lot more Waywalk senior conflict going in. But I really didn't know, obviously, what it was going into it. But yeah, that was a lot of fun to play. I think for Juniper's like best scene is when he like decided that he really needed to move away from being called Waywalk, like this character.
What a shocker.
Yeah, I was kind of pretty surprised when I did it too. But like I remember kind of like I was thinking about reading about Goliath in my original reading about gnomes in the player's handbook. There was like it's a passage where it's like they collect names with delight. And I imagine he gained the name Waywalk because he was just like walking in his uncle's shoes, looking up to him so much that people just called him Waywalk also. And it was his favorite identity that he had of his like many names that he like always tells you about whenever he gets a chance to. And it seemed just like really appropriate because like the image that I had of Waywalk Senior in my head as a player was very different than what John came to the table with. And like that is it's neat to explore that maybe like there was like a change in that character at some point or whatever, but it just really shattered his illusions of like who was his hero. And now where will he go with those feelings now that Waywalk Senior is missing?
Oh my God, season 8 is just seriously the therapy season. Like we all, John becomes like, I don't know. I'd say Dr. Phil, but I know he's like problematic now. But like, I'm like the non-problematic Dr. Phil. And like, we all talk to someone about our issues and family troubles, which Uther can't remember.
No, it's gone.
Gone forever.
Sweet liberty.
Some fun context. Like a couple of years ago, The Onion released this book of like fake onions throughout history, like this sort of joke newspaper. And they did it from like the 1910s all the way to like on into the future. Somewhere in like a fake 1920s front page edition, there's a little cartoon that says like, turn to page 58 to read the adventures of Little Fat Pants and his billy goat Juniper. And I don't know why, but that has always like really stuck with me. So like you were asking for names. So I was like, Little Fat Pants. And then I was like, Juniper is the next place I'm going.
That's amazing. I remember that book. It used to be in the house that we lived at.
Yeah. It's still around somewhere.
I'm glad you said that about Uncle Waywalk though, because that's I wanted to make him like that deadbeat uncle where it's like in your mind as a kid, like, oh, he's this awesome, amazing dude. Like, oh no, his jacket just smells like cigarettes the entire time.
I didn't know what that smell was, but it turned out to be disappointment.
Because I wanted to try and do this thing where you had him in such high esteem, but then your own journey has actually like surpassed his, and then you start going like, oh, he's not a good guy. Like all these things I had, like he's just, and like I was always trying to like just see that all going through with episode 1. It's like he's stealing the towels. He's 100% stealing the towels. I almost had him just leaving straight out and then stiffing you with a bill somewhere. But I was like, no, he needs to be around to be kind of like a foil or a counteractive to be like, everyone sees how good Juniper is. And then they see how kind of like, and I purposely held back Waywalk Senior from doing things because he's a coward. He didn't want to get involved. Didn't want to get his hands dirty. But as Juniper was like calling shots or calling tactics and stuff like that. So like it's one of those times in my head where I had this idea of how I want this to go, and then it actually went down that path. So thank you for validating me on my story choices.
Never meet your heroes. Never re-meet your heroes. But I thought it was like just like really great because like I was worried like as a Malika throughout this that you would kind of side with like your uncle, and like we'd have like this tension where, you know, we'd have to kind of begrudgingly tolerate. And like, I was like, oh, is this where this is going to go? Like, are we going to have to kind of just like make excuses for him? But like, I thought it was like really great how Juniper like made that swerve into being Juniper and like recognized that behavior. And I thought that was a really great like story choice for you to kind of like overcome that and like work through it. So
And actually, in terms of the overall arc of the season, it's like kind of like right at the like almost climax, or or Damien Newmont, like a real turn for the character.
I think it was
kind of an accident. But
was it just before you got into the vault, or was it?
It was until like we were in the archive, and I feel like we were almost about to leave the archive.
Yeah, we were pretty much done.
Like we were almost done that section.
Fed him to the Bone Witch.
Yeah, and so when I came back, it was like, yeah, when we came back to Waterdeep, like Waywalk or Juniper had like a different name, and it had like, even when he left, he was like, this uncle is like has already screwed me once, so he's already like a little bit, I'm a little suspicious of him, but also like he's like, I'm gonna go, like, let's do this adventure. I'm like, yes, exactly. We'll go on an adventure, and he'll like prove that he's good, and then like that did not happen on that adventure.
It's actually funny because you called it in the first, the first 10 minutes of the season. We're like, did Manchun hire you? Like, hey, I can't reveal my sources. I was like, God. Oh, damn it, Miles.
That's amazing.
Good thing we just moved on. Like,
yeah.
There's, I feel like, a lot of moments where we called what was happening, but then we couldn't prove it, so we were like, what else?
Let's just pick up some more books.
That's fine. Like, because I feel like we ended every session and John was like, yeah, you guys were like really close to like what you needed to find. And we were like, Like,
yeah, there's only so many antagonists we have. So, I mean, it's a growing number, but now that we have one less, and now it's, our main antagonists are Jarlaxle and his abs.
and his
deadly
hat.
duo.
he's actually a clone, but they're like in the form of abs.
I want them to each have their own stat block when we fight them.
I am working on 2 new antagonists for season.
Oh, crazy.
Is this our 3rd season together?
It is, yeah.
Okay. I've really lost track of time
Well,
as a general concept.
Well, the last 2 seasons have had pretty insane recording situations.
And it's like not been 3. It's been longer than 3 years because like we started like late 1 year, so like technically we've been doing this for longer. Technically speaking, like 3 or 4 years more, right? So like my brain is just kind of like,
we usually start recording at the end of 1 year and then start releasing around March. And then COVID just blew all that up.
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what our first. I have to look at my calendar what our actual first recording date was, but it was actually like almost around now.
Yeah.
So we're near an anniversary. It's either 3 or 4.
Yeah, I know.
I
just like my brain can't process anymore like how much time has passed.
It's probably 4 because the Diecast has a weird thing where we're technically 8 years old, but we're on season 7 because we started. Our launch date, our recording date and our launch date are separated by about 6 months. So,
What was your favorite thing about this campaign, John?
I've got a couple of choice moments. One was I got to fully explore. I got to expand the Enchanted Forest a little bit more because I kind of wanted to cross over the Tales from Trollskull, like not like overlap, but I just want like to share some same elements. So I was like, I can put the archive. I had the idea for the archives a while ago. And then I wanted to have a good spot for it. And I was like, the Enchanted Forest seems like a good spot because.
And you didn't get to use the Enchanted Forest at all in our like B team.
A little bit. You got to use I had a design of like good things list and a bad things list depending on your survival checks to get around. And then for Whitney, just crushed like the level 2 survivor rolls and just like rolling like 24s and 25s and stuff like this. Like, all right, it's good lists all the way down. And then Steph put out a good argument, like, well, if I can see the ley lines with the detect magic design, I was like, yeah, you know what? That just makes sense. Yeah, let's go with that. That works.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was the thing that happened.
But I did get to round out the sisterhood of the witches or the hags with the little teaser in the episode 3 or the episode that just came out today. I got to do I've been doing little stingers at the end that the players don't know about. So it was just describing the Bone Witch, like pulling back some grass and looking at you going into the tiny hut and like, oh, don't they look delicious? I'm gonna get you.
Oh, I don't like it.
But yeah, I liked a lot. This is probably my favorite season with the Trollskull trio, just because I feel like you've coalesced as a team more and your characters are coming out to shine and fully. There's a couple of things I really want. I want to get more into Amalika and her mom. I want to see more about Juniper and his enchantment shop or his magical item shop, because I think there's some very cool stuff there. And for Uther, I'm 100% interested in exploring if you actually believe the bullcrap that Yosef has been telling you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'd be cool to see him like in town and just like it was a pretty comfortable experience for him because it was all just sort of like fights and adventure and dungeons and stuff that he was comfortable with. So it'd be nice to like kind of put him in a situation where he doesn't know how to deal with it.
Can't punch this problem.
Yeah.
This season for me, you brought up like the witches again. After like 2 seasons, it's like you had so many kind of like moments where Miles would like know something like, oh, that's from another season. And I was like, is it? But like this time I was like, I felt in on that a little bit because I was like, that was in Tales of Trollskull. Like I knew a little bit of this. But then it's like trying to separate that from what Amalika knows.
Yeah,
and like
that's a player
like,
challenge for sure.
Right? It's so hard, but like I haven't had to deal with that. I'm just like, I don't know what this is talking about, but I'm assuming it's something that came before I was a part of this. And it was just like, oh, I know what this is. Like that was exciting for me. Like,
well, legit DM question then. Do you want me to do more of that? Because for me, I like putting that in for the players because it's something that you as a player can reference and be like, I know that piece of lore and connect it in.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fantastic. Like it's just good storytelling to kind of like weave things in, right? Like things that stand alone, but for like longtime listeners, for players, like I think it's fun to incorporate those things where you're like, oh, like I'm in on like something fun. Like of course I think those are great. So I mean, if you enjoy doing it, like
I really do.
I enjoy now that I get to be a part of it, experiencing that, and I'm sure like the listeners do too, because it's like fun and it like rewards people for being longtime enjoyers of the show. And
yeah, if you can get through the 300 hours.
Yeah. Although again, like I have not done all of those things, but it's like from Tales from this one was like especially relevant to doing the
for sure.
the little minis. So, but I definitely enjoyed that. And again, just kind of being like, oh yeah, what is going on with that thing elsewhere? What's going on with the yellow eyes, John?
You gotta tune in for Tales from Trollskull. That's the next couple of arcs are going to be dedicated to that and a little dragon bait side adventure.
Oh my gosh. I'm so
funny.
tempted to do those.
It's so this is the third group that has encountered dragon bait in the Diecast podcast.
Oh yeah, I was wondering because I saw Kat on like the Discord and be like, oh, so excited, and I was like, oh, dragon bait must have come before.
Yeah, well, I think even this was forever ago that we did it, and it was back when we were at home. But I remember John was like, "There's a smell of lemons," and I was like, "Oh!" And you're like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, "Don't worry about it."
Yeah, that tracks.
He is he's a super adorable character.
It's like the lemony smell.
Lemony smells, and like he shows up in season 4 and twice, and there's like, and both groups get to encounter him, and like everyone instantly falls in love with dragon bait.
Oh my god! I just wish I always get like really good. Well, the first season, no, I did not take notes at all, or I would kind of take notes. And then I get good for like the first episode. And then I'm like, Miles is taking notes. This is fine. But like, this is like the one time when I'd wished I had like been tracking like his sense. Cause like every time I'm like, well, I know this one isn't bad, but like.
That's so funny because that is one of the things I have not tracked in this podcast. Like in our group before, Trevor tracked the smells and he had like a smell chart that it
was pretty good too.
That he had determined, and like my character didn't keep track of those smells, but like it made sense for the dynamic and also like of how those characters work together.
Yeah. And Trevor produced his own smells in that campaign as well.
Yes, exactly. He had druid craft, so he could make small smells that could communicate back and forth. It was great. Actually, I guess Waywalker can do that now with that weird overpowered staff.
Rolling on the loot table is just something I love to do.
But that's one of the things I've never taken notes on what exactly dragon bait smells are, because I just felt like in both cases my character wouldn't, or just like that's too complicated. I can't make smells.
Yeah, note taking. I wish I had done that one, but I'm not a note taker.
He's got some confusing ones because smell of ham is worry. And then victory when he beats something is burning tar, which I was like, okay, cool, I'll go with it. But it's always confused people. It's like, oh, you beat the monster. And it's like, you smell burning tar. I was like, what the? Something else going on here?
Yeah.
It's not to have a seizure. This is a Canadian reference for people not in the know. I'm not just trying to kill Dragonbait.
So I had some homework I wanted to hand out. Think of it on the fly if you wish. Let's start with Miles, and it's pick one of the characters at the table, and just what's a question you wanted to ask them, as either as Miles or as Juniper, of just something you wanted to ask that character, or even the person, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess it's really about both as me, but I'll start with Uther. Do you think Uther at the end of this campaign still thinks that Yosef is a god, or has that been shaken at all?
I think it would probably reset. Like I don't think he's got like a lot of room in his head for like that much complexity right now. And like it was kind of fun to have him come up with these sort of like justifications. Like I felt like every time you guys pitched me something about Yosef lying, I could either fight you, which I didn't really want to do because like I didn't want us to have a conflict in the middle of our adventure, but also like I felt like he did a thing that like very religious people do, where he sort of takes it and changes it, and then it's like, okay, it must be this way. Like it's I've got to create a situation where like somebody is mistaken somewhere, and like I don't actually have to face like the full truth of what I'm clearly seeing here. I think maybe if he goes back to Troll Skull like and spends more time, that will be more. I felt like I was getting this information on the fly, and we were in the middle of this sort of like really like action-packed adventure, so it wasn't kind of the time for that sort of contemplation.
I feel like that like aligns really well with you constantly changing the catchphrase of the cult. Like,
oh yeah,
it was like you were really, really steadfast in like what it was, what were you were about, and then like throughout the campaign, it was like, what's that thing again?
What is the catchphrase of the cult? By the way, like
yesterday is gone, tomorrow is ahead.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
And
I also really like being mean to that priestess lady we met. I'm like, you're phony, bony religion. Like, that was fun.
While she was offering us protection.
Yeah.
I guess for Steph is like, does Amalika realize how absolutely powerful she is?
I don't think so, because like I straight up don't think I fully kind of understand like my powers. So I don't see how that could possibly translate to my character. But I think like it's kind of this thing where she's felt really powerless over the years, kind of being on the streets and kind of being like unseen. And now that she has like this found family, and now her actual family is kind of coming back into it. Like I think she's slowly starting to kind of like find herself, but like she definitely doesn't know what her potential is. And, like she's struggling with kind of tapping that inner potential, because like she's still kind of wary of her mom, and she's wary about, like I really did feel like, no, my mom didn't do this thing like in the season. But then there was like, gee, and, it's like my mom might actually be evil. And so I think that is like true of how Amalika thinks too. It's like she doesn't quite trust what she has, and she doesn't quite trust who she is. And so the only people that she's, really kind of connecting with are the ones within Troll Skull. And so she's just kind of happy to kind of have a place there. And yeah, so no, I think is the short answer there.
I do say as a DM, it's one of the things I wanted to, just the way in my head how magic works is that I was envisioning like when sorcerers or wizards or bards get to like a certain power level, there's your magic in the world, and there's your magic interacting in the world, and then there's your magic starting to influence the world around it. So I was very keen to make sure that whenever you did something magical, that there always be kind of like that shadow essence of like, for in the library we could transmute everything, that it would be transmuted, but there's like these little shadow flames that just kind of lick and
My beard.
And the beard.
the beard. That
I was actually getting attached to that for a while. I was like, maybe I can just rock this. And then it was all of a sudden it was gone. I got used to it and it was gone.
you just had to leave the archive and it would have gone poof.
Don't bring it back.
Funny note, I didn't have a plan because essentially I was rolling on the sorcery wild magic table, and that whatever happens, the effects are permanent until you are removed from the archives. So I was like, what happens if everyone turns into a potted plant? I did not think that one all the way through.
Or it's like
The end.
constant fireballs are exploding.
Oh my god.
And then Plant Daddy.
And then Plant Daddy, and it's over.
Adam has a shirt on. This is Plant
Oh
Daddy
yeah,
for context.
you
can't
listeners
see
at
that.
home can't see what I'm wearing.
We objectify everything. Yeah. I would have been actually pretty funny though.
So
Although again, I'm being very attached to all of our characters. I'd be like, no.
do you think, this is my question for you, Steph, that like so now that your mom has been like cleared of at least this particular charge, like does that make you intrigued to trust her more and work with her more and sort of like get into that?
Like in the moment, like to me, it was like a relief thing. It was like, okay, maybe this isn't entirely built on lies thus far, but like the whole relationship with her mom started off on this really rocky basis on the fact that she thought she was dead for a really long time. And so I think she's like slowly trying to kind of build that trust. And that was definitely tested in that moment, even though it kind of didn't really last long. We figured it out pretty quickly, but
It's one episode.
yeah, in like the great retrospective, our episodes pretty quick. But I think it was more relief, but I think there's definitely some hesitancy still to kind of like trust, because like this relationship is still really new for her. And, like her mom has been gone from her life for so long, and she still doesn't entirely, like her mom doesn't still tell her everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that hasn't kind of been said. And so I think there's a trust issue on both of their parts where they're trying, but there's work to be done. Therapy. Yeah.
For you, Miles, like, do you think that like the Juniper name and sort of like coming out of Uncle Shadow, like, is there like sort of like new activities for him, or sort of like a new lease on life, or even a difference in the way he fights?
Probably, I think there's definitely a new direction, but probably I think a lot of what makes Waywocket still Waywocket. Like I think he still loves being like a business gnome. The way that he fights is so opportunity based. One thing I would say that I'm a little sad that we didn't have a few more fights, because he has so many more illusion-y tools that he could be using, but our fights are a little infrequent, and then just like or we just like crush them right away. But what I love about rogues, and especially Waywocket, is he has a really wide toolkit in and out of combat. So that actually only gets better at level 11. Like he's bonkers good. Like next season, he solves all problems all the time. He can't roll less than a 24 on any investigation check.
Oh
Yeah.
Like it's a skill called reliable talent that level 11 rogues get. So it's good for plot developments. He's gonna know every secret. But I think after Waywocket Senior, I think he does have enough redemption at the end of it that Waywocket is like back, not looking up to him, but back to like, okay, like he is my family. I'm not gonna feed him to a troll. I'm not gonna leave him die in an archive. I'm gonna find out what happened, because he did, in the end, help us take damage.
I mean, I'm watching a lot of Golden Girls right now, but this is a very Golden Girls arc where this beloved relative comes to visit. The roommates are pissed off, and they're like, your beloved relative isn't as good. And they were like, what do you mean? And then you fight with the beloved relative, and then you come to a close, and then the beloved relative leaves, and the Golden Girls like eat cheesecake.
I just read a thing today about how there was like a theory. It was like a thread about how the Golden Girls are really like mob wives, like ex-mob wives.
What?
And stuff. And I'll have to send it to you. It was so good. Okay, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Kind of speaking to what we were talking about before with like hints and secrets of like past. Is there anything from previous non-Waywalk seasons that you would like to see come back?
Oh, from non-Waywalk
Or
seasons.
from past seasons in general.
That's a great question. You know,
John's taking notes.
John's taking notes. One thing that comes to mind is I loved my season 4 character Lether so much, and I would love to play her again. Like she hit. It was a fun character to play, even though she was very uptight. But like again, had that thing that I like about D&D, where like good in and out of combat, and it had like unique personality. So that would be one thing I would love to see. One day we'll see. But in terms of like overall plot things, there's so many threads that we've had. One thing that I would be curious to see, because they played such a big part in early seasons, is the organization, the Harpers, who are another sort of secret organization that's like influencing the world. And I imagine we'll be watching. And actually, we interacted with them in season 3.
Yeah,
now that I think about it, 4 rather.
Didn't they take us to that like secret ball? That was fancy. Remember, we all got drunk and we rode in that carriage.
Yeah.
Theater carriage. Yeah. So I could see them keeping an eye on us still through this time, being like, all right, they're kingmakers with Jarlaxle's faction, and I imagine they kind of think a little bit less of us because of that, being them like wanting to maintain order is kind of their thing. And then it's been a long time since we've heard from the dragons, which was a huge part of the first 3 seasons.
I saw that one dragon last season, but
yeah,
in the harbor,
in the water. Yeah.
It's like the first 3 seasons, well, the first 2 seasons very specifically are all about dragons.
Right.
Like they're hunting dragons or chasing dragons. It's a huge dragon war at the end of it.
Which a lot of dragons did die.
Yeah, a lot of dragons died.
Oh, no.
And like there were good and evil dragons. We befriended some of them with that group, but I don't know how that really went.
You saved the aspect of the bronze dragons.
Yeah.
Or the copper dragons. I can't remember what aspect she was. But she got corrupted by an evil sword, and then they had to go and get the sword away from her.
Oh no.
There were a lot of evil swords in that game. And then some sentient weapons.
And they came back all with one wish spell too, which is fantastic.
Oh my god, so many wish spells. Again, listeners, I remain happy to not be in campaigns with wish spells.
Oh my gosh.
They're very bonkers. Maybe one day I'll be a sorcerer and have a wish spell.
Counterpoint, I highly encourage everyone to use the wish spell. It is the most fun.
Okay, and for Adam, I have another question. So Uther obviously is a new character to this season, and you wanted to do something different from Yosef. But were there other like classes and characters that you were playing with to introduce, or was Uther kind of the first one that came to mind and you were like, this is it?
I really wanted to be somebody who was kind of like the opposite of Yosef, but who would admire him. So like Uther was very big, he was very physical, like he was much fightier than Yosef ever would be. There was a lot, in terms of his skill set, it was actually a lot about stuff that would protect you guys or heal you guys. And I think the backstory I had pictured was that like Uther was like a bit too into Yosef and too on top of him all the time and just sort of like, my lord, like I must protect you. And Yosef was like, oh my God, like I need some space from this creep, but I don't know how to get rid of him. So he sent Uther with this kind of bullshit mission. Like the cult is probably going totally fine. There's probably like some seasoned organizer people operating out of Troll Skull Alley. Like it's mostly just to kind of get rid of him and like put him in a position where he could protect you guys, which was like a mission that he was taking like really, really seriously. So just like that as a motivation was like, okay, he's big, choose something big, like choose somebody who would be able to fight and protect. So it was all kind of organic. Like,
yeah, your options there are paladin, cleric.
Yeah.
Maybe a fighter?
Maybe a fighter. But there's not a lot of healing with fighters. Actually, the new monk you could do it with, but that's kind of weird.
Uther, he attacked, but he also protect. All right. Yeah, we're getting close to the end. So I will put this question out to the table. I can give a spoiler. I can give spoilers for Troll Skull and for Troll Skull Trio. Which do you wish to hear?
Aren't they sort of the same?
Are
No,
we talking
also-
Tales from Troll Skull
Oh,
versus
Tales
Tales from Troll Skull. Yeah, sorry.
Not to be completely confusing.
Well,
Yeah,
for us,
I
we
know,
would need
I know.
the trio spoilers are what
Yeah.
this group cares
Yeah.
about.
Well, I can say I was talking to Miles about it earlier, and that dragons are definitely coming back.
Oh,
in
crazy.
season 8.
Oh
Whoa.
no.
I've been
Are we going to murder them because I don't want to do any murders?
The Dragon Age. Maybe you could ride one.
Oh, I like that.
It's possible.
That is very cool.
We've had it happen in the past.
I like this.
Yeah,
Okay.
very
Cool.
unique mechanical villain.
Oh.
Yeah, so it is going to be a little dragon heavy in season 8
Ooh.
for those that are coming back. And I think that's going to be it, unless anyone has any other questions or comments or.
No, this
Quips?
was great. As
Yeah, once
per
again, thanks,
usual,
John.
you've done
Yeah.
a great job in guiding us
Great to be back in real life.
Yeah, that's a real
for a short
through
period
line.
of time.
Mhm.
Yeah. I guess we should announce that looks like I'm moving to another province. So.
Although
we're
you
de-
did say this at the end of the last season too,
Yeah.
but like not
Ooh,
to
yeah,
jinx
don't
it.
jinx it. Yeah.
Well, there was COVID, so
You jinxed it. That's what
yeah.
happened.
I'm sorry. COVID's my bad, everybody.
Wow.
That's what's on
We
me.
found the source.
You thought it was this conspiracy or that
No,
conspiracy.
it turns out
That's
this
just
is a random guy.
jinxes
I
this
think,
whole time.
I think I'm moving next year. Well, we have a solution for that.
Yeah,
But
we might be doing some more digital records. Is, I
Yeah.
guess, the,
Or possibly a stream and put it on the Twitches. But yeah, I think that is it. Thank you so much to Miles, Steph, and Adam for coming in and playing.
Yay.
Thank you for creating these wonderful characters and these wonderful stories. And I think this is probably one of the best seasons we've done.
yeah, I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, it was very heartwarming, just like very fulfilling of when we finished it up. It's like, yes, this is pumping my face. Like, this looks really
And a
good.
book golem. Well, I'm so surprised you didn't mention as one of your favorite moments. Again, considering
He's
you
made a book.
politely bullied us into that fight.
Yeah.
My favorite NPC from that was the arcane elemental, the one that could steal spells and steal spell slots.
That was a
Evil
pain.
Lakey. I
Yeah.
didn't like him at all.
Yeah, I like that as a two-part encounter, where it's like we first ran away
Oh,
and then we
ran
came
back
back,
in.
and then we ran back in with, oh, here you
back
are.
in.
We actually took them apart pretty quick.
Yeah, that wasn't so bad.
Thankfully, Juniper had done a lot of the heavy lifting.
Well, John gave me anxiety about
Oh,
that one. You
wow.
really played them up. Like, I was like very fearful.
Yeah, so I guess that is it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining.
Thank you,
in.
listeners.
Good
Thank
night,
you,
everybody.
Discords.
And yeah, so stick around. We'll have some Tales from Troll Skull coming out after this, where we start exploring more about the golden eyes and the plague, the soul plague that's going on through.
I've only been one of those.
I think Sean Bean is coming. He said gold.
Bean.
Bean Bean.
Our special guest Sean Bean. He's only here for one episode. You know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Oh, yeah.
The bees. Oh yeah, that actually super ties in now that I think about that. That works.
All right, yeah. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next season, and we'll see you in Tales from Troll Skull. Hang it on Twitter with us, and hang it on the Discord, and we'll see y'all later. I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming. I'm so glad we got to finish this one out in person.
Yay.
Yeah. Good night.
The Diecast podcast was produced by Miles Baker, Stephanie Cook, and Johnny Robertson.